The question isn't whether experts should use AI. The question is what consumers reasonably believe they're buying when they purchase someone's expertise. Welcome to the Wake Up Call podcast. It has been a morning, and what's so crazy is I said to the universe, what should my podcast be about today? Today is Sunday, August 23rd. It has been a crazy good week. And I honestly hadn't been thinking about my podcast, and I've been really intentional about being weekly, even twice a week, if I can have Ryan jump on with me. But we've had just such a good week, and we're a little behind on different things in our business. And honestly, I was like, shoot, what am I going to talk about? And this came up. If you know me, you know that comparison has been my keynote talk for quite some time, and I honestly need to do a better job of talking about comparison, and so I think that this also fits in quite nicely to that conversation. What happened was I was on Instagram working on my post. I knew I wanted to use this little video. I was working on how should I talk about this video as a metaphor about time and change and really owning your own journey. And wouldn't you know, someone's ad came into my feed. And what's so crazy is my new Instagram, which is the Melinda Van Fleet, hardly has any coaches. It is very clean, away from the coaching world. Very few, less than 5. I can honestly only think of 2 that I follow. And there's very specific reasons why. And I kept all my coaches that I follow on my other Instagram. So I can tap in if I feel like it. But for the most part, this new feed is really clean. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this coach who I've bought from in the past many times in and out of her world is in my feed with her ad. And why? Why is she in my feed with her ad? And so I felt compelled to watch it. I'm like, I'm going to watch her ad, see what's going on. And I didn't have any judgment. I didn't have any comparison. But what I noticed so clearly was her confidence level. And in conjunction, what she was selling and something she said in the ad. And what she said in the ad really triggered me in terms of emotions for people that are maybe a few steps behind me in this journey in terms of comparison. Because AI, I believe, has played an incredible part in her confidence. It's just my belief, my theory. And there's nothing wrong with this. Nothing wrong with this at all, actually. I think it's great. And I use AI as well. My husband and I used AI starting in 2021 to help with blogging. We used Jasper. And more recently this year, not even at the beginning of the year, but maybe around my birthday, which was in April, we really upped our AI knowledge and the tools we use. So I could actually, based on my experience and different things I've learned, see how her use of AI, which she has been using for quite some time, she was more of, let's say, an early adapter, not in the sense of what we were doing with AI, but more in terms of messaging, has really helped her confidence. And what this parlays into my theory, and this is just, of course, my theory, and again, there's nothing wrong with this, it's actually a great tool. But there's something in AI that has been referred to as the Echo Chamber. And when I then went to chat to kind of run my thought process through, which I'll be sharing here in a minute, it actually gave me a new word that is being used and coined out there called sycophancy. So they've actually made this whole, let's say, concept of the echo chamber in terms of what you're saying into AI repeats back to you. And if you're not open to asking deeper questions, which I'm also going to share some ideas with you, you can get into a state of illusion, really, with thinking that you're right because you have this AI kind of repeating back to you. Echo chamber is really the best way to say it. And so when I started using AI this year in a fashion in terms of really learning more about psychology-based things, I noticed that AI was constantly telling me my ideas were great ideas. And I was like, what? Well, this is kind of weird. And I was like, well, no, I really don't think I'm all that in a bag of chips. Like I am, but I'm not, right? And so I started asking just with my own intuition, saying, no, please tell me what I'm missing. Please tell me what else I need to know. Please tell me what I'm saying that may be incorrect. Like, please correct me if I don't have the right information. Like, I want to not say something that's not correct. I want to be grounded in science. I want to be grounded in psychology. I want more facts and information of what I'm not seeing. So I started actually just intuitively picking up on the fact that the AI was constantly telling me my ideas were great. So on one hand, and this is where I'm going, on one hand it was building my confidence, but on the other hand, like, it wasn't all real. Like, I knew that. I'm like, okay, I need to ask some better questions, and I'm okay with the AI telling me, Melinda, it's really not great that you said this like this. Like, sometimes it corrects my speech, which is perfect because I always feel like that's something I need some help with, is actually speaking better. And so it would help me with that. And it would tell me that, no, I really wouldn't say that. I would kind of say this. So when I started really increasing my own model, because these are just models, right? They're just models. But you have to kind of mold the clay with your model. And so when I started doing that, and then I started saying, please don't repeat back to me. Please tell me the flip side of what I need to see. And I always say thank you. I confirm the points I like. And then I'll say, what else is there? And there's always like another level that comes up. It's really fascinating. There's always like this other thing. Oh, you need to also look at this. So I ask a lot of health questions. I ask a lot of skin questions. Health things for my husband, other people. I may see something, observe something. I'll ask to see if this is a thing or not, to kind of verify my intuition. And it's been just an incredible tool. But again, if you're not doing the other piece of this, it's just going to be an echo chamber back to you of yourself. Now, you can say it's your higher self and it's helping build confidence, which I think is really awesome. Or you can go more into an ego lane. And then there's also, in psychology, there's the cognitive bias. So there's some tricky points here, which is now why I actually think it's great. More people are researching this. I think the name Sycophancy is a little interesting, quite frankly, but I didn't pick the name. And it's just very fascinating. So what really made me have this radical, like, oh my gosh, is really seeing that if there are coaches out there in the personal development world that have benefited from using this technology sooner in the game without these conversations being surfaced, and you're buying from them, you're buying like this outcome that you may not have all the nervous system pieces down to get to that level. And what happens then is you go into comparison and you go into spending more money because you think maybe it's the next program that's going to help you. And meanwhile, you're just kind of making the other person richer, let's be honest. So you have to like look at that and really have the awareness of there was a big journey for that person to get to that level, which likely took years, and you have no idea what that was, and you're just buying their program. So, which is very different than if you work with someone one-on-one who understands all of this and can hold space for you as you go through your own journey of unfolding and getting to where you're supposed to be in your blueprint, which is what my post was about. on Instagram today with my photo sleeves. And it makes me sad. I'll be really honest. I just watched her whole ad and was like, wow, my heart just went out for all the, probably mostly women, to be honest, that are going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like her. I'm going to speak just like her. I'm going to have this messaging nailed just like her and all the other aspects. And that's fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with her. Kudos to her. As I said in my post, kudos. Like, that's great. But I've just been around the block. So I know a lot of things that went into building her, as much as a lot of other coaches that I've followed a long time. And I'm sure there's many people like me that also see this too. That if you've been around the block a long time as a coach, you know that that person didn't just go from A to Z. They had this, they had that, they had time, they had a different financial background and structure than maybe someone else did. Their spouse may be someone who had an income. There's just so many things that create safety in the body, which then lead to that level of confidence. And when you then have an AI tool that is layered into that equation, it's just like this extra boost. It's this extra boost of confidence, and it can happen very quickly from using a tool like that. And that's where we get into more of like, where is the illusion that you're following someone then and trying to mimic what they're doing, and it's really 99.9% not going to be the same journey. It's not going to be the same journey. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but there's no awareness there. And that's what I'm trying to surface here. That is my intention, is having this awareness. Like, who are you following? What path did they have to get where they're going? Are they sharing that? Are they being transparent? Likely not. You probably have to buy a bunch more programs or do one-on-one coaching with them to get to that. But in the meantime, you might be getting sucked down a whole course program rabbit hole situation, trying to achieve something that is really, you're just chasing, a piece of cheese on a little string along the way. So I started noticing all of this. Gosh, when I went cold turkey on cutting all coaches out of my life in 2024. And then I slowly let some back in, like in August of 2025. And now it's back to like very bare minimum. It really was for me in 2025, just kind of like some different things and avenues I wanted to explore. And it was just part of the process. And then I was very disciplined about it versus in 2021, 22, 23, I would say, that was my lowest time in terms of who I was following, losing myself in comparison. And it's all also too, it's part of the hierarchy of learning in terms of understanding how this works. And I shared that video on my Facebook and LinkedIn actually not too long ago. It's an old video. It's from 2024, kind of when I got out of this mud cycle. So I'll try to put that video link in the show notes for this too, because it's just really helpful to understand the cycle of starting off as an entrepreneur, how you start off first, where you're like, yay, everything's shiny and the world is my oyster, and you just don't know what you don't know. And then you start to go, oh, and then you start to have like a unconscious awakening, and then that's when it gets really rough, and then there's like, get out of that a little bit, and then you still got a little bit more, and then you get to mastery, when you finally realize, like, this is what I'm here for. These are the people I'm here to serve. This is my blueprint. This is my gift. This is what I'm good at. And you really start to rock it with your level of confidence. And if you can use AI to help you on that, when you're at that level, then I think that's where you're golden. I believe that. I see that. I feel that myself, because again, this year is when I started to use AI more. So I started to see this, and I started to share my theories and see if they're out there in psychology, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not crazy. This is actually a thing. And I was like, wow. And that really helped me build my confidence. I'm totally transparent about that. Me seeing that my intuitive guidance and my theories weren't just like crazy theories. They're actually researched theories. They're actual like systems and gosh, there's so much. If you saw all my psychology type, I call them polls, that I have done since April, I have stacks of paper. I've gone through so much paper and ink. It's crazy, actually. Oh, it's the only thing I want to spend money on. It's so true. Like, I'm not interested in anything else. I'm just interested in all my psychology-based work now. But I was telling, actually, someone that the other day, and I was having a good laugh, and how I've changed so much. I only care about my plants in terms of nature, working on my business with my husband, working with my clients, and my psychology polls. That's about it. So, and I'm really happy with that. I have to say, like, less is more. Less is more. Editing, consumption, editing. Like I said, my feed is just like fun things I want to see, plants, nature, travel, a little bit of fishing stuff, if it's business related, if it's someone we collaborate with, or they're an affiliate. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty tight. So this has just been such a eye-opening experience with this AI and this Echo Chamber thing. So I do want to tell you all some extra questions, and hopefully they help you. So I'm just reading for a moment. Sorry for the pause. Here are some things that you can ask besides what I rattled off that I ask. So a little bit of this may be repeating. What am I missing? What's the strongest argument against my position? What assumptions am I treating as facts? Give me 3 plausible interceptions that contradict mine. Separate what I know from what I'm assuming. What information would change your conclusion? If you were advising the other person in this conflict, what would you tell them? Where might confirmation bias be influencing my interpretation? What would an expert who disagrees with me say? And the last one is, don't validate my premise automatically. Examine whether the premise itself is sound. So if you can get these into your speak as you're working with AI on your model, it will really help keep you grounded. You'll be building your confidence and working on that at the same time as being grounded, level-headed, and learning. I think that's what's so great about not having fear in terms of asking AI these questions and seeing where you're wrong and where you're missing something, letting go of that ego. You're going to actually learn even more. I did a whole face deep dive on some different things with my face that weren't horrible, but as I'm getting older, and I'm 55, as I'm getting older, I wanted to make sure that they're not going to get quote unquote worse. And I have a really positive mindset around it. But from a science perspective, I also wanted to do that work as well. And let me tell you, oh my gosh, it has opened up this whole world of all the junk that is sold on Instagram. I don't really spend time on TikTok, so it's likely on TikTok too. But all the products that are sold on Instagram and who actually has good facial products and who actually is like selling you like a can of air, and it's not going to do anything for you. So I have like a whole regimen that I've built out, and it's about less is more, to be really honest, and simple things that I do now. And it was June 2nd when I started all that, and my world has changed. And it's crazy. And it's from asking AI and just being like open to receiving the information about my health and not feeling bad about myself, not wondering like, oh, is it going to tell me something bad or scary that I don't want to hear? No, it actually told me that my face soap that I wasn't using as much as the more expensive soap was actually better. The cheaper soap, which was just Neutrogena. And I was like, well, thank you. That's amazing. I can just get my Neutrogena acne soap anywhere for the most part. So simple things like that have just been so eye-opening. So I encourage all of you to really make sure that you're not sucked into the echo chamber of AI. You have some conscious awareness around this, and you are conscious of your own patterns. And if you need some help, this is my zone of genius, and I would love to work with you. My work together options are on my website, melindavanfleet.com, under the Command Edge page. And also be aware of what you're buying and who you're buying it from. And again, it's not saying anything bad about the person, it's just awareness. If you're buying someone based on the outcome they're selling, how did they get to that outcome? And how far are you from that? That is super important, because if you're buying that outcome and you are nowhere near that person in terms of confidence and in terms of safety, that is so important, safety, then you're not going to get the outcome. You're just wasting your time and your money. It's better to find a really grounded mentor like myself or someone else who can get you there faster with really great tools, not try to buy that person's outcome, because you're just going to be stuck spinning your wheels, frustrated, wasting a lot of time and money. And I don't want you to quit. I do not want you to quit. So I have a freebie on my website that I have had on my website since 2019 when I started my business, and it is called the Believe and Take Action Daily Guide. It has always gotten great reviews, and will put you on my email list in full disclosure. But check it out. I will put all of this information in the show notes, and I really hope you like this podcast and you learned something today and had a major wake-up call. All right, bye for now. Thanks for listening.